This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Joining us today, Cedric Simonet, the CEO of Altona Rare Earths. Thank you very much for your time. Cedric, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you, Mark?
Very well, thank you, Cedric. I'd like to just catch up really on some updates of Monte Muambe and, of course, the broader activities within the company here. I know the metallurgy is very important for Rare Earth Project, and that is what's currently going on. I know you've got 70 kilograms that's been sent to Aurelia Metallurgy in Perth, and 100 kilograms has been sent and received by SGS Lakefields in Canada, and there's a few things going on which we'll get onto in a moment. But I mean, first of all, why is the metallurgy so important? It seems like things are perhaps on hold whilst you're waiting the metallurgy.
Yes, it is true that metallurgy is very important. It's important for all mining projects, but especially for rare earth projects. You have to remember that at Monte Muambe, rare earths we have 15 different elements, 15 different rare earth elements. So when we talk about metallurgy, the first step is how can we separate the minerals containing these rare earths from the rock? The mineral is a bastnäsite in this case. So how can we produce a bastnäsite concentrate? Then we have to look at how can we turn this concentrate into a cleaner synthetic product, which is the mixed rare earth carbonate, which still contains all of the rare earth elements, although we can deplete a little bit the cerium through cerium oxidation. And then we have to look at how we can separate the rare earth. So these are many different components. We want to try to go as far down the value chain as we can. We want to try to do separation of neodymium and praseodymium. And then the last thing you have to remember is that Monte Muambe was originally considered as a fluorspar project before rare earths were discovered. And although Monte Muambe is not viable as a standalone fluorspar project, it is as a rare earth project. Mm-hmm. And there is also the possibility as a co-product, as a byproduct of the rare earths to produce fluorspar. So we are also looking at this. So for all these reasons, the metallurgy is even more important for us than for any other project.
Okay. So what is exactly going on at the two different labs here? Can you explain a bit more? I know in the RNS it talked about feed characterization. My guess would be, as you sort of said, is can you extract what you need, and is it viable to go through a plant?
All right. So feed characterization is the first step. You look at your ore with different types of equipment, and you look at the mineralogy, which minerals are there. You look at the way they are associated together. They can be associated as different grains in the rock, or some can be contained in others. You also look at the size of the minerals. All this is very important because it will give the metallurgist the parameters for the metallurgical testing that will be done after that. So this mineralogical feed characterization is the first step.
Okay.
The second step after that is going to be to do flotation test work. And when we did the scoping study for Monte Muambe last year, we were able to do only one flotation test. Now, between these two labs, we have about 60 flotation tests tested. And this is very important because in a rare earth project like Monte Muambe, in a carbonatite, the mining costs are very low. What's expensive in terms of CapEx and OpEx are the processing costs. If we manage to increase the grade of the concentrate from the assumption we've taken of 10% to a level of 20% through this metallurgical testing, that means we are going to slash more or less by half the CapEx and the OpEx of the hydrometallurgy section of the process. So you can imagine the impacts on the costs are very important. Okay. And this is why we are doing this right now. This is why we are focusing so much on the metallurgy. Okay. One is to improve the cost, capex and opex parameters of the project. And then the other reason is that once you start having a concentrate, once you start having samples of mixed rare earth carbonates, you know the specifications of your product, and that's when you can start talking to potential off-taker. So for these two reasons, this is a very, very important phase for Monte Muambe.
Indeed, yes, it is very important. Did you say 60 or 16 samples you now have?
It's not 60 samples, it's 60 different tests.
60 different tests that you can do. Okay, yeah.
Metallurgy for flotation is a little bit like, I would say like cooking. There are so many possible recipes. There are so many different possible reagents that you can use to separate these minerals, so many different parameters like temperature, like pH. So you have to try many of them to get the best possible results.
Okay. And these results from the flotation test here are due or expected in Q2, so only a month or two away. But what happens in the meantime? I mean, are you not able to do any further work on the project while you're waiting the results? And then thus, when those results come back, what will be the plan?
All right. So as you know, we have lodged a mining concession application, mining license application. So we are following up on this process with the government. We also have parallel processes for the land rights for Monte Muambe and also for environmental processes. So all this is happening. But technically, we want to see first the results of the metallurgy before we go back to drill at Monte Muambe and to upgrade our resource statement by doing infill drilling to increase the level of confidence of the resource and also to increase the tonnage.
Okay. So you're going to wait until you've got them before you get back active in the field?
Yes, because the mineralogy has an impact on the metallurgy. And the mineralogy is not the same everywhere at Monte Muambe. So we need these results to know where it will have the best possible results, knowing the metallurgy to drill. So our drilling plan will depend partly on the metallurgical results.
Okay, I see. Okay. Well, as part of the operational update you put out as well, you talked about review of the company's corporate strategy and recognizing that the time is perhaps right to expand and diversify the portfolio of projects in Africa, including rare earths, but also non-rare earths. And you were quoted saying, to complement Monte Muambe, we are looking to build a balanced portfolio of carefully selected critical raw mineral projects across different African countries. So what's the plan here? What's the thinking here? Can you share any of these thoughts, any potential projects in the near term we could expect to see crystallize?
All right. The first thing I would like to say about this is that expanding our portfolio has always been an ambition of Altona. We've always said we wanted to bring on board other rare earth projects with different dynamics, different timeline to production compared to Monte Muambe, so potentially ionic clay projects. And we are still working on this because we strongly believe in the solid long-term fundamentals of rare earths. Of course, right now, the rare earth prices are down, but we believe they will pick up on the long term. And that brings me to the reason why we are looking also at diversifying the portfolio. We are an exploration company. You would expect that until we get into production, the price of commodities should not impact too much our business because we are not yet selling rare earths. But the fact is that if you look at almost all the junior exploration companies involved in rare earth exploration, you will see that their share price evolution over the past 2 years has been following very, very much the evolution of the price of the commodities themselves. So for me, that means that junior exploration companies are very exposed to the price of the commodities, which is all these critical minerals, most of these new technology metals. Right now, we are at the beginning of this market. So the prices are going up and down. They will stabilize ultimately as these become commodities. But right now, they are going up and down. So for me, diversifying the portfolio has one advantage, which is that it reduces this risk of exposure to the evolution, the short-term evolution of the price of just one commodity. And that's quite important. But there are also some other reasons why we want to do this. One is to diversify the countries we are working on, the jurisdictions, simply to diversify and to mitigate political risk across different countries. This is quite understandable. The other thing is that Altona is a small company. We have a small team. And right now we are running only one project. We can comfortably run another one or two projects without increasing significantly our corporate costs. And that's something which is very important to me because I believe that the ratio between corporate costs and money in the ground, exploration costs, should be as low as possible. And by adding more projects, spending more in the ground, without increasing too much our corporate costs, we are improving this ratio. And this is very important to me because that means more value for our shareholders.
Indeed. With all that said, Cedric, can you say what you're looking at, and can we see anything anytime soon?
Like I said like we said in the RNS in the last announcement, we've decided to focus on 3 minerals initially: lithium, copper, and niobium. This is after looking carefully at these commodities and other commodities. So it is too early for me to tell you what will be our next project. But what I can tell you is that while our metallurgical samples are at the lab for Monte Muambe, I am currently focusing 100% on this project of bringing new projects on board. Okay. So I think you will be able to see some news, and we will have another chat relatively soon.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that update today and your time, Cedric Simonet, the CEO of Altona Rare Earths.
Thank you, Mark.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like, or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.